I'm Dave. This is the Cyderbaby pod, and I'm speaking to Carl from Auger. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Yourself?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good.
Yeah, you're not in this country at the moment, are you?
No, that's a bit of a running theme, I think, with all this. Yeah, I'm currently in Chicago, Illinois, stateside of the pond. I've been here for 5 weeks. I'm still here for another 1 or 2 weeks before I go back to lovely England to see
Wonderful.
what state the country's in.
I'd stay there for a little bit longer if I were you.
Yeah, I'm quite tempted.
Okay, Auger, tell me a little bit about the band.
Yeah, so we started in July of 2017. So I say we're relatively new, but that's like 5 years ago now.
Yeah, time slips away.
We still feel quite new. We are we sort of say dark rock is sort of the best way to sort of group it all together, because we're influenced by everything from dark wave to gothic to metal to I'm big Tears of Fears fan, Supertramp, all sorts of different influences from all sorts of genres. It's kind of like our own thing, but it's definitely wrapped up in a sort of rocky overtones, and it's very much dark. Like it's all got a bit of melancholy throughout it. So it's a nice blend of everything, and it's very, we like to think it's very creative. It's very much what we want to make, which is good.
You're a two-piece, is that right?
That's right, yeah. So the other member of the band is Kieran. He does all the impressive stuff on guitars. I just show up and sing a little bit.
All right, okay. So you've produced a few albums in the past. Was it 3 albums?
3 albums, yeah. So with our forthcoming away, we've got the first one was The Awakening in 2018, and then From Now On in 2019, and then Insurgents in 2020. So it's an album a year.
So that means we've got an album due very soon?
We sure do, yeah. So it's actually been a 2-year gap between these albums because of all the pandemic. So hopefully people are excited for it. We're certainly excited for people to hear it. It's been a labor of love getting it all together, and it's been great. I've finished it off whilst I've been in Chicago, so it's been nice to sort of take in the different environment, different culture, and sort of put that into the music and really refine it and stuff. So yeah, it's very, very excited for that to come out.
So what's the album going to be called?
So the album's called Nighthawks,
Right.
which is named after the painting which the cover is based off by Edward Hopper, called Nighthawks.
Yep. You've released a few singles over the last few months. Are they going to be on the album, or are they super curious? Or
absolutely, yeah. So the only one that won't be is Dark Clouds,
right.
but the other 4 will be. I say there's actually 5. There's another one coming out in March. So we can talk about that. So, but yeah, it will be, it's an 11-track album with 5 singles, and then there's 6 brand new tracks interwoven between all of those as well. So it's sort of been a nice way to sort of tease out a little bit of the material, and then when you come to get the album, you're familiar with some of the tracks. So hopefully people listen to the rest of them on. And I've also gone through and I've redone the mixes of the singles already. So even though it, like, for example, Libra is coming out, it will be on the album and it was a single. The mix has been improved, and the drums have been boosted and stuff. There's a little tweaks that I kind of wanted to make, and I thought, you know what, it's worth putting the time into making it like a really nice package. And at least that way, it's not like you're buying the same thing again, or like it's something different, it's something special.
Yeah, I came across you with Libra, but I think that was my introduction to you guys.
Okay, yeah.
So, well, I've been playing that on the radio in previous months. Tell me a little bit about the song itself. Was there a story behind that?
Libra, yeah. So it's all sort of about like an unbalance between 2 sort of strong forces, which happens quite a lot. And yeah, the song-wise sort of came about. It's very influenced by Gary Numan. It's got that sort of, I really liked his newer stuff, and I wanted to like nuances from Here in the Black with like the 808 bass that runs through, and then it's got a little bit of like the newer stuff like Intruder in there as well. It's a very sort of Gary Numan inspired track, and a little bit of Covenant as well. I was listening to a lot of those. I was trying to just get some inspiration from that field, as opposed to my normal inspiration, which normally comes from like the 80s and the 90s. It was nice to sort of listen to that and see what I could do with it. And it was just like a really it's quite a fun song because I was just very experimental with the sounds and stuff, and it's great live. It came across really well, and I was pleased with the artwork as well with the Libra star sign. So it was a nice single, that one. The video for that one is coming along. I will release that when I get to the footage, which I left on the computer at home. So it's currently sitting on my desktop. I'll edit that and then I'll get the video out when after I'm back.
Follow-up single, Angel Dressed in Snow, came out, must have been Christmas time, I suppose, or just before Christmas, just after Christmas.
Yeah, it was sort of like, oh, we got a song that has the word snow in it and it's coming up to Wednesday. Let's drop it around Christmas time, and you never know, it might be a Christmas classic. But that was a really fun song as well, a little bit different, and it kind of touches on a newer sort of direction that we're trying, in that I've been writing a lot with acoustic guitar and trying to incorporate that. Actually, I've been writing normally, but I've been adding acoustic guitar over the top, and that's meant that I've been doing some really bizarre chords that I wouldn't have thought of otherwise, but it just really sort of adds a bit more percussion and a bit more, I don't know, rhythm to the song. So that's it's more along the lines of like Him, that sort of like rocky sort of romantic metal, but I quite like that. I think it's a nice little, we've always done a lot of diverse stuff. There's never really a specific sound that we go for. It's kind of, we have songs that are really dancey and really heavy, and it's nice to be able to sort of branch out and do something slightly differently. And I think it works really well. And it makes it a bit more interesting when we go live as well, that to have an acoustic guitar on stage while we do that song, and it just makes the whole experience a little bit more interesting.
When you play live, I mean, it must be a challenge just being the two of you with such a huge and very round sound.
Yeah,
just
it certainly is.
Be there and recreate all that. So how do you do it?
And quite often, I mean, we're both quite tall, so that kind of helps. But often the stages are very big, so it's always been a task for us to try and fill it. But I think that has definitely worked in our favor, because we've been challenged with these small with these big stages, and there's only two of us, and there's a lot of sound going on. So we have to work extra hard and be extra dramatic, and just the energy that we're putting in now, we're like on the floor by the time we're finished. We put everything into it, and that's made it the standard. So even when we play those smaller shows or we do those more intimate gigs, you still get all the energy, and it's just meant that we've been able to do that from the start, which has been really great. So I quite like the challenge of being able to, or have to fill out the stage. Well, we did, we played O2 Kentish Town and O2 Academy Leeds as well, which are very big stages, and just being able to fill those by running from one end to the other, and it just felt great being able to do that. So there is talk about getting a drummer for some upcoming shows that should help us spread out the stage a bit more, but certainly on the tour that we have coming up is going to be a lot more instrument based, and we're going to get even more in. So I play guitar and keys and all sorts of stuff, so I'm going to have a guitar, keys, and an acoustic guitar. Kieran's always going to have some keys to try as well, along with his guitar, and maybe a couple of instruments, just try and make it really immersive, and just try and do something different to what's been recorded, and try and stand out, and try and make the most of the fact that we're only two people.
Okay, so you've mentioned a tour that's coming out. When is this likely to happen?
Yeah, so
fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, everything's fingers crossed at the moment. Fingers, toes, and eyes crossed. The album releases on the 1st of April, and the tour starts on the 1st of April. So it's a nice way to sort of kick it off. We'll be shipping out the albums beforehand, and then jumping straight in the car and hitting all the venues. There should hopefully be 10 shows in a row, as far away as sort of we're going all the way up to Glasgow, maybe even Edinburgh, and then going down to Bristol and everywhere in between, Leeds, York, Morecambe, Sheffield, maybe. It's kind of just every here, there, and everywhere. Nottingham as well. There'll be like a poster that comes out soon. We're just waiting on some final details to polish off before we go live with it, and fingers crossed it's not another repeat of COVID we have to cancel. Look, they're only small shows, so we shouldn't be affected by it too much. But it should be really good fun, and we're working really hard to make it a really different experience to what people are used to from our shows, but from shows in general. With there only being two of us, and it being our first, like almost like spotlight headline tour, we're thinking of ways to make it really interesting for people. So, bringing in different ideas visually and auditory, and even like playing on all the senses, smell if we can, try and make it a real experience, and just like make it 10 gigs to remember.
Yeah, you did 4, I believe, tail ended last year. Is that
yes,
right?
we did. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we did those with Sidewalks and Skeletons. It was supposed to be with actors that got postponed to now this year.
Yeah.
That's still ahead this year. But yeah, that was like a little pop-up 4-day that we did, and that was really great. We enjoyed doing that. We did one a few years back that was 5 days in a row, I think, and we were fine by that. But this 4-day one that we did, we were very tired because I think we stepped in so much and we put so much energy into it. Now we're like, oh my god, I need a rest. So I've been like trying to do some workouts and stuff, because I know that I'm doing 10 days and I'm the only one that drives as well. So I'll be driving to the shows and then setting up all the gear and then doing the show and then moving on to the next one. So I bought myself a skipping rope and I've been like, I must. Oh, I run out of breath going upstairs. So I feel like I need to do something.
Okay. Going back to the album, just you said it was about 11 tracks. So what sort of sound are we going for across those 11 tracks? Are you going to mix it up, or is it going to be?
Yeah, it's a nice like almost like chocolate box of songs where hopefully everyone likes chocolate, so everyone should like the songs, and some people will really like ones more than the other, but it's a nice variety. It's I've lost my words now. Yeah, the sound is really developed. It's I've kind of said it before that this is this almost feels like the first album. It feels like with those first 3, we're so proud of them, but they're almost like warm-ups for this. This is the first one that sort of felt this is Auger. This is like our sound, and this is what we sound like, and we're so proud of what we've been able to achieve. And it's definitely got like this sort of noir, sort of romantic cityscape vibe to it that the on the front cover implies. It opens up with this song called City Never Sleeps, and it's like such a huge, like it's just a huge opening. It's really sort of almost like mellow during the verses, and these huge choruses that come through, and it's very like anthemic, and I don't know, there's just something about it. It's really visual, the whole album. And then as it goes through, it touches a little bit on some electronics, and then goes to some more heavier stuff, and by the time it ends, it goes a little bit heavier before then going. So it's just a really nice sort of curve for an album, and I'd say it's all inspired by this Nighthawks painting that I basically wrote. The first song of the album that I wrote, I played it to our manager, and he normally comes back with some feedback on the music. He's like, oh, I like this, I like these bits. But for the first time ever, he came back with a visual, and he said, oh, it reminds me of this cityscape, and like this, like walking down the street really late at night with like neon lights and a really visual. And it's strange because that's how I wrote it. I had this idea in the mind, and I wrote like a visual song, and he picked up on that, and then he explained that, oh, it reminds me of this painting. And it's like, I think it's called Nighthawks. It's by some old artist. And I looked it up. And I was like, that's what I had in my head. I didn't know it was him. I didn't know it's called Nighthawks, but I had that in my head. So I found that crazy. So it was so bizarre. I must have seen it like years ago or something, but it just sort of stuck with me. So, and that's kind of the theme throughout the album. It's so visual, like the whole thing. And it's helped because I brought in a lot more sort of organic instruments. Like it's not all just electronics and electric guitars and synthesizers. It has more acoustic guitar. It has some harp. It has lots of string sections as well. It's just a little bit, I don't know, it's just got this sort of really grand, sort of classy sort of vibe to it. And yet some of the songs at the end absolutely slaps. They're really good. It's that sort of element of, there's a song called Smother on there, and it's like, it's really heavy. And there's also the single that we have coming up features a well-known singer from a very big band. So that's a really heavy song as well. So that'll be really nice to include on it. So it'll be really nice. Yeah, it's just going to be so much fun to release it.
So is that the next single that's going to come out?
Yes, it is. I'll spill the beans because I
Go
will
on then.
eventually anyway. So it's Chris Harms of Lord of the Lost is got a duet with me on the album. So that's really cool. So the song's called Holding On, and it's out. I'll check my calendar. I think it's the 11th of March, which is the Friday. Yes, it is. I didn't want to get that
Yes.
wrong. Yeah. So Chris is joining me on like a nice like duet vocal. I sent over the track and he really liked it. And then I was just expecting him to come back with him singing his parts, but what he'd done is he'd sort of split the song up into my part and his part, and then he'd change the chorus to include like more of a duet battle. So he'd sing a longer note while I sang underneath, and he arranged it nicely. So he's put a lot of effort into it. And it sounds really great. It's really heavy, but it's I don't know. It's got a really nice vibe to it. Again, acoustic guitar. It's got all sorts of different instruments in, and it's kind of like a Lacuna Coil-esque track. It's got that sort of, it's a little bit grungy. It has a little bit of like a 90s, it's a little bit like Alice in Chains meets Lacuna Coil with like two male vocals. It's
Excellent.
like a really cool, it's going to be great fun live as well. I hope maybe he'll join us one day. You never know.
Okay, I'm going to touch on one more track, which I was sent a couple of weeks ago, Military Fashion Show. How did that happen? That's a cover song.
It is, yes. So my manager signed us up for this compilation, pay homage to all the work that and one have done within the industry of their music. And he managed to bag Military Fashion Show, which is really great because it is the song that you associate with the most, I'd say. So, and admittedly, I was finishing off the album, and it was like a couple of days before the deadline, and I hadn't started it, and I was like, oh my god, what am I going to do? Like, I don't want to pass this opportunity. So in a day, I got up at like 8 a.m, made some tea and a bacon sandwich or something, and I just sat down and made it. And everything I did worked. It was one of those ones where I had an idea of how to do it. I did do it, but everything that I did just kind of worked on top, and I came up with a really unique sort of cover, I think, and it's great fun, and we're definitely going to do it live at some stage because it's just a really feel good track, and it's been an honor to be able to do it and put our own stamp on it. Definitely with nice heavy A sharp guitars as well, which are good fun to write.
To be fair, I prefer it over the original. So well done.
Oh, thank you. That's a big compliment, definitely.
Oh, so moving on from the singles and Military Fashion Show, you come from a musical background, don't you? Your family.
I sure do, yeah. My mum and my dad were in a band in the 90s called Faithful Dawn, who were kind of pioneers of the sort of electronic goth hybrid, sort of combining that dance element with the guitars in like the early 90s or late 80s, early 90s even. So she's obviously, they've both been a big inspiration for me and helping me get started. And my stepdad, who manages us as well, has been in the industry since time began. We always make the joke that he's been in the industry before when music was invented. So he's sort of helped us with it, and his background, you know, he's worked with like endless amounts of bands and festivals and stuff. So it's been really great that, I mean, most people in my age when they're growing up listen to like Spice Girls and bands like that were big at the time, and I had a Mesh CD, and I had Pride and Fall, and I was like a 6-year-old that listened to like all the good stuff, Project Fork and all sort of good stuff. So there's the background sort of is quite wide, and you know, there's always been like instruments and music being made in my house and stuff growing up. So it's kind of inevitable that out of all of my 10 siblings, one of us was going to be musical.
Okay. Well, I've got to say you can hear that sort of influence in your music. I mean, your voice as well is very impressive, I have to say. This is, you know, it was the voice, it was the late 80s, 90s influence that drew me to Libra. I could hear that, and the Gary Numan influence as well, like you said. So, yeah. So one final question. If you were going to pick one, maybe 2 tracks from your back catalogue to say, this is Auger, which tracks would you pick?
Ooh. Well, thinking from a logical point of view, I'd say the last 2, i.e. Angel Dressed in Snow and Libra of our own material, just because Auger is an ever-evolving sort of project of sound where we're slowly getting towards where we want to be, and there's lots of different experiments. So it changes all the time. We're not the same band that released the songs on the first album or the second album or the third album. But that's just a very sort of cynical way of looking at it. I'd probably say that one of my personal favorites is Tell Me I'm Wrong on the Insurgents album with Imogen Evans, who I think she was only 12 or 13 when she sang on that, and that's just
Really?
I know, incredible voice. She's on the new album as well, and that song's really great because it has so much of what we're about, and it's like it's heavy music in its sense, but it's really easy to listen to. It's not like off-putting heavy. It's not heavy as some of the other stuff, but it's definitely got guitars in there, but it's done in like a quite a tasteful way. So that's a really great one to do. And then the other one would probably be, it's hard to choose between something original like My Guardian, which is the one that people associate with it so much, but also something newer like Libra. I'd probably say even Sound of the Machine's probably closer to it because it's I don't know, that's a really sort of different rocky approach. It kind of shows the two sides. You've got Tell Me I'm Wrong, which shows a bit of electronic sort of side, and then you've got Sound of the Machine, which shows the sort of the new, more sort of contemporary sort of vibe that we're going for with the new stuff. But I'd say really just hold out for the new album, because that is just 11 songs that we're so proud of, and it really does feel like we've hit the nail on the head with what we wanted to achieve in the first place. Like it's the exact sound we wanted to go for. It's all of our influences combined, and it's just a really cool package. And it's so, we tried to make it like a big community project with the booklet that comes with it is got 11 pieces of unique artwork for each song done by different people as their collaboration to it. So it's their interpretation of the song. And it's just a really nice project. And I just think and musically, it's a step above the rest. And even after this, we'll still look to improve, but it's definitely a great sort of foundation of this is Auger. And yeah, the sounds are really cool. And I really hope people are going to like it. There's only one way to find out anyway.
Carl, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.